the table is the 5-star and above kind of wall that Beachbody has where those coaches can chat with each other, ask ideas, share, etc. And so it's really an honor when you go 5-star to be added into that wall with everybody. It's so super exciting. I remember when I was added in and, I saw all of these people like commenting and, you know, talking, and I was like, oh my God, this is what they all talk about. This person's like the person I've been stalking forever, and she just said hi to me, and like it was super cool. And while that's really cool for you, I think what's really cool for somebody who's been in there for a hot minute is seeing these people succeed, because you guys, we all know that like if she can do it, you can do it. There's so many people who get started in this business and they're like, oh, good for you, you've been around for a while, that's great that you are whatever, XYZ, a million club or success club, all-star or 5-star, 10-star, whatever you want to call it, right? But the thing is that like when somebody brand new comes in and does it, it's like, oh shit, she did it. And I love that. And I love that the energy that they bring into this network. And so when I saw her announced, I was like, yo, you want to do our team call and talk to us all about what you've got going on, how you got there, what you've been doing. And then I was blown away, you guys, because you've only been a coach for like a year and a half. She started last May, and she's a 5-star in her first business center, and she's a 1-star in her second business center, you guys. She has retired from her full-time job. She was a physical therapy assistant. She has a little bambino at home. And so she's a busy, busy lady, but she like crushed this and has brought her business to a level where she can be, running a team and staying at home. And so I would love for you to just like dig deep, share your story with us, tell us what's working for you, how that journey, like what that journey looked like for you, and then maybe like any advice that you want to give. And if at the end you guys want to ask some questions, I'm sure we can go ahead and do like a small Q&A too.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, I have to get like in the zone of like speaker view, or like my eyeballs go everywhere so everyone can hear me. We're all good? Okay, great. So hi, my name is Kenzie. I'll do a quick introduction. I have been coaching, I started with Beachbody when I was 7 weeks postpartum, so it was back in March. And it was like, after no time of doing the challenge groups, because I was very skeptical of Beachbody in general. Like I was that person that was always making fun of people doing Beachbody. Like I hate to admit it now, but that was 100% who I was. And so whenever it kind of came down to, hey, Kenzie, you're a brand new mom and like this is all you've got. You can either do an at-home workout or you can do nothing. So I was like, okay, let's give it a try. And after 4 weeks of doing it, I was like, oh, okay, I cuss. I will try not to cuss. But I was like, oh, crap. This is the real deal. I am seeing changes physically, mentally, feeling all the things. And I started in March, April, May. May was when my coach put in her 2-week notice. And I was just like, whoa, pump the brakes. What do you mean you're quitting your full-time job to coach? Because I was just doing the challenge groups. I had no interest in coaching. You know how that goes where it's no, don't sign me up for coaching. I just want the products. I just want to lose the weight. And I saw that she quit her job and I was like, okay, just like she was saying, if she can do it, I can do it. And I told my husband, I was like, I'm going to do this. And most husbands are pretty skeptical. At least mine was. And he was just like, okay, Kenzie, you just do you. And so I really started to dive into coaching. I think the very last day of May is when I hit my first Success Club point, Success Club 2. And I was like, holy shit, I just made $50. What is happening? And so I decided in June, it's either this or you have to give it your all, Kenzie. You say you're going to do this, do this. So I hit diamond, right off the bat. And I'm going to kind of tell you a backstory because I think where my business shifted was at this time of year last year. So at last June, I hit diamond, everything was great. And I just kind of sat there. And to be fair, not so much fair, our upline does not work the business. They run challenge groups. They hit SC6. That's their that's what they do, and that's okay. But so we didn't know anything about the business. Last year, I had no clue what a 1-star diamond was. Last year, I had no freaking clue what elite was. I had no clue what anything was, except I was told, congratulations, Kenzie, you just hit diamond, like, way to go. And I was just like, okay, but now what? Because our upline doesn't work the business like this. And so I sat at diamond from June, July, August, September, and one of my best friends that was running with me, she just quit. Like, she was going through a very hard time in her life, and she stopped doing personal development. She just like secluded herself, and she up and quit, and I lost diamond. And that was the very end of September. And then comes October, November, and December. And I can feel it happening now. Like, I think it's just this time of the year. Like, there's a shift in the universe and everything starts to struggle. And I hate talking about struggling because I don't like to talk about struggles, because then I feel like that's all you look for. Like, if you sit there and say, well, I'm struggling. Well, it's like, okay, you're just attracting more struggles because that's all you're talking about. Like, start talking about all the great things that you guys are doing. Like, did you help someone get on demand? Did you help someone with the challenge pack? Like, I don't care if you're hitting SC2 right now, like, celebrate it. But last year at this time, I didn't. I lost diamond. And for the last 3 months of the year, I just sat there and was just kind of like, what am I even doing? Why am I coaching? What is going on? Like, I don't understand what the purpose of this is. Like, I started this because of the community. I started this because I wanted friends. I started this because I was loving the way I was feeling. But after like letting that one person dictate how I felt about losing diamond and losing a status, and just kind of let her quitting get into me, and I just took a step back. And it was a very, very, very hard time. It was kind of to the point where I'm like, I think I'm going to quit being a coach. This isn't for me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not happy. I'm not hanging out with my friends, because if we're being 100% honest, I'm that person that if things don't go my way, I throw myself a pity party. Like, I hate that about myself, but it's 100% who I am. And I hit Success Club. I did the minimum, but I just felt like I was coasting. And I just kind of started feeling like, is this it? Like, this isn't what I signed up for. This isn't the way I wanted to feel. And it was last December 18th, my husband and I had to have a very hard conversation. He calls me out on my bullshit a lot. And he told me, he's like, I don't know what you're doing, but I don't like it, because you're not the happy-go-lucky coach that you were in July and August and September. That's not who you are anymore. You've let yourself fall into this funk. You've secluded yourself from all your friends. You're not happy. You're not energetic. You're sitting in bed and throwing yourself a pity party. And it was a hard conversation, but it was exactly what I needed to hear at that time, to be like, okay, Kenzie, like, it's time to pull your head out of your ass, because I didn't start this for nothing. My husband has worked his ass off for us our entire relationship, and he's my number one reason why when it comes to coaching. Like, I don't want him to have to work overtime. I don't want him to have to put in the extra hours. And he just kind of made it, he was like, well, I kind of thought that you were doing this for me. And that was like a huge gut check of like, he's right. Like, he's always bent over backwards for us. And so I had to sit down at the very end of December. December was like the hardest month of my life. I was hitting at SC0, and then December 30th, I hit SC10, because I was like, it's time to remove my head from my butt and freaking start doing this. And so I hit diamond December 31st. So I come back in January, I'm a diamond now. And I'm like, okay, it's time to evaluate what I'm doing. Like, I started this because I want community. I started this because I want friends. I started this for those things, not just to be doing this by myself, because that's where I was sitting from July to December of last year. I was just doing it by myself, and I was draining myself. And so January, whenever I signed up this girl and I made her sign up her 2 friends, I got back to diamond. She started working the business. I sat there and I was like, okay, I have to look at my challenge group, because I never had asked people to coach with me. I was just running challenge groups and going through that motion. And so I'm like, okay, who are my runners in these challenge groups? I know that there are girls in here who have changed their lives. I know that there are girls in here who are freaking loving this. Like they're eating this shit up. They post every single day. And so I just made a pod and I reached out to them and I was like, guys, like, I think you would be amazing coaches. Like, why don't you start sharing on your social media? I don't care if you go crazy or not, but like ask your best friends. Like, you have changed so much. Like, I see how amazing you're doing in this group. What would it feel like to you if you got to give that gift to someone else? If you got to help someone else the way you've changed? And then it was like, okay, Kenzie, you've asked these girls. A lot of them have said yes, which, you know, that's not something to get excited about. If you guys, I'm sure most of you know, like you've been told, yeah, I want to start coaching, and then nobody does. And so then I had to say, okay, like I need to evaluate the kind of leader that I want to be. And here's where I need you to give yourself a big gut check, because who are you showing up as? Are you showing up as an emerald coach? Are you showing up as a diamond coach? Because showing up as a diamond or an emerald, that's where you're always going to be. Like you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. If you're pushing for 2-star, which I don't know like the ranks and stuff on your team, but if you're pushing for 2-star, if you're pushing for elite, right here, right now, you're going to have to start showing up as that person you want to be. You're going to have to start showing up as that 2-star that you want to be, at 5-star. Ask yourself, would a 2-star coach do this? Would a 5-star coach do this? A 2-star coach sure as shit would not be scared to send a message. So I'm not going to not send this message, because I know the person that I want to be, she'll send 100 messages. She'll show up on her feed every single day when it's hard, when she doesn't want to, because that's who I want to be. And that, I think, is the hardest part, is stepping into that role, because you're not currently it. But if you want to start being that person, you're going to have to start acting like it. And that's what I had to do. And my husband, God, I love him so much, but he was like, if you want to be an elite coach, you're going to have to start acting like one. And I was like, okay, friends, we just locked in elite last week. Like, I am an elite 2020 coach, but it didn't happen just because. It happened because I made a team page. I started doing team calls. I started going live in my team page all the time. I was mentoring my girls. Like, we have pod messages. We're doing the things, and I'm showing up as that person that I want to be. I started in January of 2019 as a diamond, and right now we're sitting at 5-star and 1-star. Because I decided that that's who I want to be. And I decided that if she can, why can't I? And that is 100% the mentality that you have to have. And you also have to start showing up as that person that you want to be. Because if you're sitting at an emerald coach right now and you're pushing for diamond, okay, what would a diamond coach do? Because if you're only doing the things that you've ever done, like, nothing changes if nothing changes. And I think that's the hardest part for a lot of my girls, is I'm like, you haven't stepped out of your comfort zone. You haven't done something that scares you. You haven't done something that's challenging you, because you're comfortable with where you're at. But being comfortable is not making you grow. You are not growing if you're sitting in your comfort zone. So that is 100% like the mindset that I had to have in order to make that shift for my team. Because it's like, how can I expect for all of these girls who have never coached, never done anything, to show up the way that I want them to show up, if I'm not showing up as a better leader, if I'm not showing up and 10xing what I expect them to do? Because that would be super unfair for me to be like, you need to be a diamond and send all these messages, but yet I'm sitting back here twiddling my thumbs. Like, if you're on this call, if you're pushing for things, I need you to realize right now that you're your own boss. You are your CEO of your company. Like, you are your leader. Start being the leader that you want to be, because it doesn't matter if you only have one person under you. You've got one person to lead. Like, start showing up and leading, and be the leader that you want to have. Be the leader that, you know, you want to be a year from now, 6 months from now, 2 months from now, whatever it may be. It's, you have to step into that role. If you expect other people to run with you, you have to be that too. Okay, sorry, that was a lot. It came in hot. All right, that's like my number, like Sorry, that was like the number one thing. So I can talk about, or I can answer questions, or I can talk about, you tell me. That was just,
Yeah, no, I mean, dude, that is awesome. I just have to say, like, what I think is so cool is when you have a new coach come on and the first thing they do is tell their story. Like, how many of you can relate? Like, you were skeptical, you had an unsupportive spouse, you had no upline, like your bestie didn't want to do it with you anymore, you dropped rank, like your husband was like, what the F are you doing? I mean, how many people relate to like almost every part of that story? Like, not to like downplay, but there's nothing special about any of us, right? Like, we are just people who are putting in the work, and the only difference is those that are further along have just stepped up. Like, they made that decision, drew a line in the sand, and said, no longer am I willing to play small. I'm going to step up and I'm going to be what I want and what I see others doing because I know I can. And like, that's huge. So I know the question that everybody's burning question is like, okay, so what does that look like, right? Like, how did you recruit people? How much time did you put in? What did that schedule look like for you? We know you reached back into like your challenge groups, but like, get a little bit more like nitty gritty and like, what did your day-to-day look like? Did you have to sacrifice anything? That sort of
oh
thing.
my gosh, yes. Okay, so I made this decision in January, and it was like kind of end of January, February, because Team Cup, like we're gonna freaking do it. And we were second in the company. Like, we were one of the top Team Cups, which was crazy because we're like, well, what just happens if we try? But as all of this is going on, I'm still working. So my day-to-day, thinking about it now, was insane. I worked 45 minutes from home. At the time, I had a 1-year-old. She's a little over, almost 2 now. So I was waking up at 3:30 in the morning. I would work out, and then I would get done with my workout around 4. I would shower, get ready for work, and from like 4 something to almost 6, that's when I'd send my messages, because that's when I had time. So I would go through and I would look at the people that had watched my stories from the previous day. I would go through and I'd look at the people that were loving on my posts from the previous day. Those are the people that I was messaging. And I think that messaging is like one of the things that everyone is so hesitant to do. And everyone's like, hey, you don't want to send the message because, we sign up as a coach and everyone's going to come running to us. And that never freaking happens. So send the message. Like, I have a sign written on my desk that says, don't be a little bitch, and press send, because you never know what the person behind the screen needs. Like, I don't care if she has the picture perfect newsfeed. I don't care if she has the picture perfect pictures and you just think that she's the bee's knees and she would never join you. You have no clue what she's going through. You have no clue who she is. So send them a message and start looking at what you have as a gift, because that is 100%. In January, I'm like, no, you know what? Like, what I have is a freaking gift. It has changed my life. We have gone through hills and valleys, but damn it, I'm a better person because of it. And I know that what I have can change a girl's life. So I never feel bad for pressing send. And I will press send and send to the same person some people get messages from me weekly, because I'm sorry, but if you're watching every single story, you're the first person to watch my story every single day, and you're loving on my stuff, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to invite you. And you can ignore me, you can say no, but I'm not going to stop, because they're coming to you for a reason. They're watching you for a reason. Maybe it's not their time right now, but give it a year and maybe they're going to be like, okay, it is my time. I'm ready. I've had so many people, like, I hit that year mark and they're like, okay, I guess you're serious about it. I'm like, I was serious about it in 2 months. Like, why did you wait a year? But those are actually the people that stick around longer because they want it more. They've watched you and they're like, okay, let's do it. So back to what I was saying. Sorry, squirrel brain. So from like 5 to 6-ish, I would send messages, and those were the people I was sending messages to. And then I had to get my daughter to daycare by 6:30, and then I had to drive my hour to work, which my hour to work was my personal development time. If you're not doing personal development, freaking right now, draw a line in the sand. You're starting it today and do it, because that's what's going to change your life. So I'd listen to personal development on my way to work. And then when I got to work, I was always like 5 or 10 minutes early. So I'd get on my stories, talk about like, because I couldn't have my phone at work. I was with patients all day. And so I'd talk about my stories like, hey guys, like, I hope you guys have a great Monday. Like, just remember, like, you know, it's up to you. If you want to have a bad day, that's your decision. If you want to have a great day, like, tell yourself it's going to be a great day in my stories. And then I'd go to work. And then at lunchtime, I would take my lunch and I'd go sit in my car and I would check in on my challengers. I would send more messages. I 10x'd everything that I was doing. Like, I was eat, sleep, breathing, 531ing people. I don't know if you guys know what 531 is, but where you like 5 pictures or comment on 3 and like, I was doing that all the time just to get new people to my page and like growing my network. So I would do that at lunch, go back to work. I always worked 12-hour shifts, so that was fun. And then I would come home, go get my kid because my husband works swing shift. So 2 nights of the week, he's on midnights and then he's on afternoons. So he's not around a lot of nights. So I would go get my kid from my in-laws who picked her up from daycare and then drive back home. It's 9 o'clock at night, get her to bed and send more messages. Like, I was running on very little sleep, but I knew that the sacrifices were going to be what got me where I'm at today. Like, I was able to quit my job at 10 months of coaching because I've made these sacrifices. Like, did it suck waking up at 3:30 in the morning? Yeah, it really freaking does suck waking up that early. But I knew the bigger picture. Like, and I think that's the best thing about Beachbody is, like, I don't know if you guys follow Rachel Hollis or if you do the last 90 days or if you write down your goals and your dreams or whatever, but every single day, like, I write down my dreams and things that I want to make happen. And it's just like, I know that Beachbody can get me there because I've seen her do it and I've seen her do it and I've seen her do it. So I'm like, I'm not going to freaking quit just because it's a hard season right now, just because shit is hard, just because nobody's signing up with me. That doesn't give you the right to quit. Maybe they're just waiting to watch you fail. Because how many people, like, there are a lot of crappy people in this world who just want to see others fail. Like, be the one to prove them wrong and get through this hard season and come out stronger because of it. And just know that consistency and showing up is what's going to get you towards those goals. Like, I wrote down, like, for the last year, I've written down that I got invited to Leadership 2019. I got invited to I'm packing my bags, like, I'm going to leadership. Like, you put it out there in the universe and you start working towards it, it's going to respond. Like, keyword, you have to work towards it, but shit is crazy and it works for you if you work for it. So that was a lot of my day. I had 2 days off in the week, which was spent being a mother to my crazy kid. And just like, you know, nap time, that's when I would send messages. I would also get up early on those days, send my messages, do my workouts, and then just sharing as much as I could throughout the day. It was a very, like, that season of my life was very hard because I was being so intentional with coaching, which I'm not saying I'm not now, but my place of work, being there for 12 hours, it was a very negative environment. Like, our patients were always complaining, like, my coworkers hated their jobs, and everyone was so negative all the time. And to come from a negative and then show up as this bright, cheery coach, like, just trying to find the joy, just trying to be the light for someone was hard, but it was worth it. Like, and I'm not saying that I was going on there, like, faking it until I make it, because that wasn't it at all. Like, I knew that I was a happy person, but still, like, I know that all of you guys have probably been in a negative environment and know how much that can drain you, and just know how, like, mentally and physically tough it is. So it was a hard season, but it was 100% worth it. Just all the sacrifices and it's hard taking time from, like, spending time with your husband, but knowing, you know, just what comes out of it is, and sometimes you just have to remind your husband, like, hey, like, I love you so much, but 7 o'clock is prime time for when people are available to chat. Like, I'm sorry that we can't hang out right now, but yeah, that was how my days looked. They were busy.
I love it. I'm just looking at what this comment is.
I am too. Yes.
Yeah, and if you saw Mariah, her head was like a bobblehead. She's a nurse, and she was like, It's so crazy, you guys, because like everything you just said, like, well, I'll admit I didn't get up at 3:30 a.m. because I didn't have a kid that I needed to bring to like to their daycare, and I also only worked like 10 minutes away from my house, and I showed up 10 minutes late every day, not on time. So that was slightly different. But other than that, like everything is so in line with like my very first year of coaching too. In my first year of coaching, I went 6-star elite. And so it's just like guys, that was like, oh my God, that was like 6 years ago, right? So here's the key. It still works, right? That's my point. Not to toot my own horn, like, yeah, I did that too. It's to say, no. 6 years later, it still freaking works. Like if you are working this business and you're doing it and you're being very like, no, this is my time, I have to do it. And when you start doing that, you almost like, did you find that you were like almost obsessive like about it? Like
Oh, I
you
was
became obsessed
100%.
with your business.
Yes, I was 100% obsessed, and it was just, um, it was pretty, yeah, it was very obsessive because it was like to the point where I was so done with my job. Like I would come in there and my boss would talk negative to me and she would just be like, oh, glad you showed up to work today. And it's like, well, actually, I didn't have to. Like I have a 1-year-old that I'd much rather stay at home with, but I'm just showing up. And it's, so I would find myself like when I didn't have patience, I was back in my office sending messages because I knew that 2 months from that date, like I was so close to putting in that 2-week notice that it was just kind of like I had started already matching my income. And it was just kind of like, okay, you just wait. Like you just wait. And we got back from the Success Club trip. And I walked in the door, and after our Success Club, the Monday back, I put in my 2 weeks. And she was just kind of like, what? And I was like, I'm done. Like, sorry, not sorry, but I got bigger and better plans for myself here.
So liberating and so scary.
Yeah, it was. She literally told me, she's like, if you're coming to resign, you can turn the hell around. And I was like, here it is.
Oh my God. Yep, my boss started crying.
Oh.
What was I going to say to you? Oh, and then you guys, it's amazing too. Like I'm doing that little mindset group, and I put in Bob Heilig's like podcast today as one of the ones to listen to. It was episode 73, and he talks about that red light, green light, right? And she just talked about that. She just said like you just have to change it in your mind to like not everybody is going to say no to you. In fact, even if their life looks perfect, it still may be a yes, because you never know. They might just freaking hate their job. Like they might be making tons of money, but they hate their existence. Like they hate getting up every morning, or they hate leaving their family, or whatever that might be. And then also just the part about it being a gift, like that, like, rung true for me so much as well. Like to get out of your own head and to press play, like to press send on those messages, getting yourself in that space where you like just really, really, truly believe and recognize that this business can give you anything you want, and it can like fix any problem, and it can help you and change your life, and focus on all the good that it's given you and what it can do, and how you have that ability to give it to somebody else. And then all of a sudden it feels like you're being selfish if you don't start messaging people. And
Yes.
the worst thing that can happen is they say no. And I also loved the fact that you said they get a message from you, whether it be weekly or monthly or whatever. Because guys, what do I always say? Like, unless they tell you to like go die in a fire, like keep following up with them. Because clearly if they haven't had like the audacity to be like, yo, back off, like there's still something there that may turn them around. And you never know.
They'll unfollow you. Like if they don't like you, they'll unfollow you. And it's like my girls get so butthurt when they get unfollowed. And I'm like, did you even know them? And they're like, no. I'm like, who cares? Like move on. People unfollow me like 20 times a day. Like if they don't like you, they're not your people. Like you don't want them on your team anyways.
Yeah.
But the people that are showing up every day, whether they ignore me or not. And I mean, I get a little bit catty sometimes, and I get a little bit crazy. Like I send them the eyeballs, and I send them the Kevin Hart gif of like, hello, like, I see you watching me. Like I will call them out on their shit. I'm like, girl, like I see you watching my stories every single day, and I see you reading these. Like it has a red underneath it. So I know that you read it. Like what's going on?
Yeah.
And it's like, they'll still ignore you, or they'll be like, yeah, you got me. I'm like, yeah, I did catch you. Like, thank you, Instagram, for letting me know that you opened this message.
Yeah. And if you do catch them, most of the time they're not somebody that turns around and is like, oh, you're such a bitch for writing that to me. It's more like, oh yeah, like, and they're that person who probably is interested, just would never actually like respond until you like really pushed them.
Yes.
Any other questions, you guys? I know you said you liked Rachel Hollis. What else did you listen to in the car? What were some of the big PD books for you?
I love Ed Milet. Like I listen to him all the time. John Maxwell, I love him. I really liked, the Mel Robbins book, Take Control of Your Life.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good book. Big Magic. Trying to think of all the other ones that I listened to. I really like Rachel Hollis, the Girl Wash Your Face. It was so perfect for my life at the time because I was a brand new mom, and like I think I listened to that one 3 times. And I know some people don't like it, but I'm just like, listen, lady, it changed my life like 3 times. Every time I listen to it, I get something new from it. It changes my life. And I love her and Dave's like morning
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Any other questions for her while we have her here? I think we are at we're just about a couple minutes past 9:30. So I don't want to keep her too long. We can wrap up, but just wanted to see if anybody else had anything. Everybody just thinks you're amazing. They're just like, heart, wow, freaking right, love this, yay, badass, amazing, congrats, woohoo.
Thank you.
Well, I am stoked that I'm going to see you in a couple days, and I'll have to buy you a drink for coming on the call.
Girl, I like margaritas.
Me too. Welcome to our team. That's all we do. Tequila. We're going to do a shot. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, we probably are going to do a shot.
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much. Honestly, I think it's so helpful just to like hear from people like it's doable and this is what I did.
Well,
and I sacrificed, but it's
like I said, it's a hard season. Like right now, it is, my team is feeling it. Like I have to yell at, like I'm a very much tough love person and my girls respond to tough love. And it's like, I have to yell at them, but also give them, I'm like, I know it's hard, friend. And a lot of times, like right now, my girls are just like in that, I feel like it's a lazy season where they just feel like, I don't want to do the things. And I'm like, I was there 1 year ago, but you have 2 choices. You can either quit and go back to where you were, or you can just like push through this season, because I know like my team, my uplines team, my like friends team, everyone right now is just feeling it. Like,
yeah,
it's something that you just have to make the choice to, no, I'm not going to let this define me. Like I'm going to show up and do everything that I can. It's like, I have to ask my girls, like, are you doing the things? Like, are you doing what you know that you need to do to be successful? And it's like, no. I'm like, okay. like, do it then.
Amy said, I just want to recap. You started being balls to the wall this last December. So she said December 18th is when she kind of had that convo with her husband.
Yeah. Last December, December 18th, I was sitting at Diamond, SC0, and then December 31st, I locked in Diamond and hit SC10, and then January is when I asked for help. Basically, I just asked for help because I was trying to do it by myself, and it's like, that's not the point of this. Like, the point of this is to have the community and do this with people. And so I just like leaned into the girls that were rocking my challenge group, and I was like, do you guys want to do this with me? And they're like, just like tell me more, like tell me what to do. And just from there, like asking for help from them and making that team page and deciding that I was going to be a leader and deciding like, okay, Kenzie, you have all these people under you, make a team page, go live in your team page, get scared and talk about your goals, like talk about what it is that you want for this team and you want for your girls. And then that's when they just kind of started responding, was just kind of like, okay, like, let's do it.
And to give you guys an idea of timeline too, Amy, I mean, she was announced in the roundtable like first or second week of September, which means you definitely went into qualifying at least August. So, because it's 6 weeks to qualify for any Star Diamond position, which means 8 months. Literally in 8 months, she completely changed her business and changed her life. Like, we all sit here worried about the time it's going to take, and we sit here bitching about like the work that we don't want to do and procrastinating on like follow-ups and procrastinating on putting up a post and procrastinating on our workouts, thinking that, oh, it's okay, I'll do it later, not realizing that by doing so, you're pushing off your entire dream life, like far, far away, when all you have to do is do the shit and you get the shit like way quicker than you think. And the more that you start seeing those glimpses the more you start seeing like the light at the end of the tunnel, like that's why you can't stand work anymore after a while, because you're like, oh my God, but I'm seeing like this over here. And like, what if I went full tilt, right? And like you have these glimpses of like it doing well, which makes you really want to go further into it. And then you start doing even better, and it just snowballs because you built that momentum for yourself. And so, and that type of energy is a magnet. Like that is a magnet for the people that you want on your team. They see you smiling, they see you hustling, they see you cranking, and they're like, what is she freaking doing? I don't even know. I want part of it. So yeah, I mean, literally 8 months, you like basically changed your
Yeah. And my coach is Kyra Carlin, and she did the same thing. Like she started January as a 1-star and she's an 8-star now. Like we just kind of told each other, we're like, okay, like if they can do it, why can't we? And it was just from there, we're like, okay, let's run. And we've just not stopped, because you just have to keep your foot on the gas pedal. And it's like, once you like let off the gas pedal, that's when your business starts hurting. And that's when people aren't stupid. Your people that are following you, they know when you're not feeling it. They know when there's been a shift. They know when you're not excited. And that's when they kind of start to back off. And if you miss that one day of a post, like they're going to be like, oh man, what happened? Like she didn't show up. And that's like the biggest thing. Sorry that this is so long. But that's like the biggest thing is consistency is so important, because what if that one day that you didn't make that post, that other mom was watching you, that was going to be her day. She was going to come to you that day and be like, let's freaking do this, Kenzie. But you missed a post and you fell off the wagon and you didn't show up. And it's like, okay, well, I guess she's not going to show up for herself. How do I know she's going to show up for me? Like, even on the hard days, you guys, like share your struggles. I don't care. Like, not that I don't care that you're struggling, but share that, because that's when you're relatable and people are like, oh, wow, she's not like a superhuman. Like she does have bad days, but I have those bad days too. So that makes you relatable. And if you just, it's like when you fall off that once, getting yourself back on is the hardest part. Like picking yourself back up from that fall off is the hardest part, but I mean, it's worth it. That's what happened to me last October. And it was like, okay, like, let's go. But it's not an easy thing to pick yourself back up.
No, you don't ever want to take your eye off of it when you're on it.
Mm-mm.
But you can. So if you guys are feeling off, because she just said it's a hard season, if you are feeling off, just know that, like, you know, so you said you drew a line in the sand and you said, I'm going to do it. Right. So like, was it just that like urge or that, like that mental thing of like, crap, what the hell am I doing, that got you going again?
Yeah. And it's like, I knew. So for me, I was just being, like I said, I was being lazy and I was throwing myself kind of a pity party. Like I was doing the things, but I was half-assing it. Like I was not being intentional. I was not going full force. And it's like, okay, January 1st, draw a line in the sand. Like every single one of you guys know exactly what you need to do right now to move your business forward. If I asked every single one of you, you could be like, I need to send 10 messages. I need to follow up with this person. Like you all know what you need to do in order to be successful with this. It's just, are you going to do it or not? And that was for me, I wasn't doing it. Like I knew exactly what I needed to do. I knew that I needed to lean into my team. I knew that I needed to send more messages. I knew everything that I needed, because this business, it's not hard. Like the things that we do are not hard. Just getting yourself to freaking do them is the hard part. And that's the thing, is like every single one of you, write down something right now that you could do to move your business forward. And it's up to you. Like, are you going to do it, or are you just going to look at it? And the people that are successful and the people that move forward are the people that do it. Like even when they don't want to, even when it is a hard season, they just show up and do it anyways, rather than throw themselves that pity party and be like, well, you know, it's not going to work for me right now. Good for her, but it's not working for me. Like that was just 100% what I knew what to do. I just wasn't doing it. It's like, okay, well, let's do it.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys. You guys feel pumped up after that? Like everybody feels like they should just like go do the things now to get the things. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Look, everybody's saying amazing. Thank you. Yes. So thank you so freaking much. I think that was so helpful for people, especially right now, like perfect timing. Can't wait to see you in a few days.
I'm so excited. I love
It's like
Arizona so much.
Wednesday. It's going to be so fun, and it's going to be worth doing all the things to get the things.
Yes.
All right. Have an awesome night, you guys. I'll post the recording of this in like a few minutes.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye.